I'm Reisigo and I'm attempting to complete every single GameCube game, but I'm randomizing what game I'm playing next. In this episode, we're taking our motorcycle to the track and playing Big Air Freestyle. So let's see how Big Air Freestyle is in 2024. Big Air Freestyle was released on September 13th, 2002 and was developed by Paradigm Entertainment and published by Infogrames. Big Air Freestyle is a motorcycle racing game where we can take control of a bunch of different riders as they compete in outdoor Moto X or indoor Supercross. We can also compete in freestyle events and try to perform the best tricks in the round to win. We're not going to go through that mode because you don't win anything for doing it. Instead, we're going to go through the championship mode and win to consider this one complete. First, we had to pick the difficulty that we wanted to play on, and without noticing, I chose Expert, so we're going to go through championship mode on the highest difficulty. Before we can start though, we need to pick a rider. There are a bunch of different riders in this game, but I don't recognize any of them, so I have no idea if they're real or not. Some of the riders are Gunther Halls, Benjamin Groves, Ira Johnson, and Aaron Wright. I chose to use Jason Alexander for this, for no other reason besides his agility being full. Once we pick our rider, we have to pick what event to compete in. The MX ones are the outside events, and we can pick between 125cc, 250cc, and 500cc. This just determines how fast the bikes we ride actually go. Our other option is SX, and these are the inside events. These only have two speed classes that we can pick from, 125cc and 250cc. For this video, I'm going to cover 125cc, but I ended up beating the 250cc event as well. Each event costs money to join, so some of these we can't do until we get enough money to enter them. We can earn money by winning events and taking on sponsorships. The last thing to mention is that we can head to the garage and adjust our bike stats, such as the tire tread, suspension, and engine. I didn't mess with these because I have no idea what I'm doing here, so I just left everything on default and just moved on. After covering the insides of the mode, it's finally time to race. Our first race is on a course in Barcelona, Spain. I would consider this to be one of the easier tracks, but since this was my first race, I didn't race the best on it. There isn't much to any of these tracks, so I'm going to sum up these races rather quickly, and then talk about anything I want to during them and what place we finished in. We're also going to race some tracks multiple times, so I'll just breeze over those ones when they happen. If you don't know, Big Air Freestyle has us racing 6 laps around a track, and we need to get first place to accumulate the most points for that race. The player with the most points at the end of the championship wins the event. It plays just like any other racing game though. We can accelerate to hit straight sections of the track at top speed, we need to brake around corners so that we don't crash, and the ramps around the track need to be taken on specific sections of the ramp and at certain speeds so that we don't hit them and then end up landing bad. I mentioned crashing, but I don't think you can actually crash in this game because we slam into walls and land in the middle of ramps, and we almost never wreck. At one point, I landed on other racers, and I even got landed on myself, and nothing happens, so I really don't think you can crash unless you're performing some sort of trick. Tricks are performed by hitting a combination of buttons, and they give us points, but in this mode, that doesn't really matter, so I'm not gonna really be doing them. Anyway, I think that covers the basics of this game, and if I missed anything, I'm sorry. There just isn't much to this game besides racing. When racing, there are people that come onto the track and then dive out of the way on every lap. Do people usually stand on the track during Supercross? I don't think I have ever seen anyone do it. I guess if they do, tell me about it in the comments below. Actually, just tell me why you think they would include this anyways. I love interacting with you guys. Anyways, after a whole lot of nothing happening, we finished this race in first place, and we won our very first race of the game. It only took me a few laps to get used to this game too, which is pretty good. Once we complete the race, we get the standings for that race. It tells us how many points we get towards our overall score for the tournament, how much money we won for that race specifically. So in this one, since we got first place, we got 25 points and $3,000. Not a bad haul for an easy race. Then we get this little cutscene where we're sitting on our bikes celebrating, and we have cheerleaders around us. I have no idea why this takes place, but it happens on every single race, and it's super weird. The next race takes place in Los Angeles, USA. This one is short. The corners are tighter in this race, but there are long sections of straightaways. We start this race getting bumped around a lot, and still we don't crash or anything. I was having some issues figuring out how to hit each section of ramps on this track, and my character was taking a beating for the whole race. I just couldn't figure it out for most sections of this race. It didn't really affect me staying in the front of the pack though, so I think that the other racers also had issues with this track, but I'm not entirely sure. One thing I noticed during this race is that no one ever gets a massive lead, and no one ever falls that far behind. So I think that everyone has a chance to win, as long as you just race good on the last lap. I'm not sure if this is the game rubber banding, or if I just wasn't good enough to get a big lead on the other racers. Just something I noticed when I was playing. We finished this race in first place again, so we gained another 25 points and $3,000. We can move on to the third race of the championship now. But first we got our first sponsorship offer from Dirt Kings. They offer to pay our expenses, and we get a $2,000 sign-on bonus. But we have to finish every race in first place. So for now, I'm just going to refuse the offer and move on to the next race. The next track takes place in Rome, Italy. This race has way more turns and a lot less areas to let loose, so we're going to need to hit the corners better in this race if we're going to do well. This track is very short and we can complete each lap in around 45 seconds, so this one goes by really quick. I struggled on the corners in this race, but we did get to see a person crash their bike for the first time in this game, so I guess it is possible. Anyways, we finished this track in first place. We get another 25 points and $3,000 more dollars. And we now have a total of 75 points in the championship now. Race 4 is back in Barcelona, Spain. Since this is nothing new, we're going to skim over this one. We did end up hitting this crazy trick at the end of the race, and we finished in first place. Those 25 points are ours, and we get another $3,000. After 4 races, we are at 100 points total for this championship now, and we're moving ever so close to finishing this event. Race number 5 is in Rome, Italy again. We get another first place, 25 more points, and right away another $3,000 richer. Race 6 takes us back to Los Angeles, USA. We ended up having a close race, but I ended up finishing in first place again. We have 150 points total for this event now. I don't think that we can lose at this point. And would you look at that, I was right, we won the event. We end up getting a new cutscene where we're on stage this time, celebrating with cheerleaders, but the other 2 racers are there with us, so second and third, and it tells us that we get $8,000 for winning the championship. We finished the 125cc, and we actually finished the game for the challenge. However, since we won, we're invited to the SX World Championship race to represent our country. We don't have to do this, but since this was pretty short, I decided to compete in it. This race takes place in Paris, France, a brand new track for us, and this one is shaped like an E or something. I actually like this track a lot considering what it is. There are some large ramps in this, and it just feels like we can let loose for most of the race. The ending of this race is a bit challenging because how there are small ramps in between the larger ones, but this can be solved if we just hit the ramps on the correct side, and then it makes landing so much easier. The laps for this race are longer than most of the other tracks, but overall this one isn't bad either, and we ended up finishing the race in first place. We haven't lost a single race yet in this game. Nothing happens for winning this World Championship though, which is kind of disappointing. Why include that if nothing is going to happen if we win the race? I don't understand putting the effort in. Now we're going to move to 250cc, and I'm just going to recap my experience for that championship. Since we already beat this game, this is an extended cut for it then. The first race is in Frankfurt, Germany, and this is a brand new track. Nothing special about this one, and it's another short one. The middle of the track has massive ramps that let us zoom through most of the lap, and at the end we can just let loose on a flat area before the last ramp at the finish line. We got first place in this race. The next race is Barcelona, Spain, and we finished this race in first place, another win. Race 3 is Paris, France again, and we finished this one in first place. Race 4 is in Tokyo, Japan, and this is a brand new track for us. There are a bunch of straight sections in this race, so this one isn't that hard either. There are a bunch of large ramps that we can get massive air on, and we actually crashed during this race for the first time playing the game. I just sort of let go of my bike, and then we ended up slamming into the wall. I do really like this track though. This is one of the best tracks in the game, I think. I love that we can just hit ramps at max speed and just go flying. Anyways, we did end up finishing this one in first place, and actually I had a large lead in this race. Another first for this game. Everything new on Tokyo. Next race takes place in Rome, Italy again, and it was extremely close at the end, but I ended up getting second place in this race. I knew out of all the tracks, this would be the one that I wouldn't get first place on. It's those small ramps and the corners that I just couldn't figure out. Our next race is Los Angeles, USA, and we finished this one in first place again, securing our victory for the championship. We get the same cutscene from before of us and the other racers on stage, but this time we win $9,000 for being the champion. We got another invitation for the SX World Championship, and since we got a new track last time, I decided to do it, but this didn't pay off and we just had to race on the Paris, France track again. We did get first place again though, and we won the World Championship a second time, and we finished the game for good now. We don't get credits for this one since it's a sports game, but Big Air Freestyle is complete, and we finished another game for the challenge. Would I recommend this game? I don't think I would recommend this one. I don't think it's bad, and it controls decently, but there isn't much to the game itself, and it's not as fun as some of the other MX games from the same era. I think some of the tracks are interesting, but overall, I think it's just okay. But let me know what you think about it in the comments below. If you want to know what game we're playing next, then stick around. If not, thank you for watching, and check out the last GameCube game that we completed in our challenge that's on the screen now. If you made it this far, make sure to subscribe to the channel because it helps me out. Like and share this video so we can get more eyes on this challenge. But until the next one, see you later. We got our game list up, we have our random number generator ready at 5:09, and on the count of 3, we're going to find out what we are playing next. So 3, 2, 1, 436, which is... Scroll on up to the top. Taxi. No, that's Tails. No. Taxi 3, huh?